Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Matt. I work as Technical Director at Xceed, and today we're going to take a quick look at Xceed Workbooks for .NET. Xceed Workbooks for .NET is a relatively new product at Xceed, so I thought it would be a good idea to showcase the multiple ways to get started using this product. The first way you may want to work is to go directly on our website, xceed.com, as you can see behind me. You go in Products and Services, .NET/Core. You're going to see Xceed Workbooks for .NET right here. If we click on that, we scroll down and we have a try it out button. Once you fill out the basic information, you'll be able to download the package. The package will include the DLL you need to get started. Also, it will install a bunch of samples that are super copy-paste friendly that you can use in your own application. Keep in mind that almost every functionalities of the product has its individual samples, so it should get really easy for you to get started. So the other way I figure most of you are going to be using the product is through Nugget. So let me minimize this window right here. We're going to go in Visual Studio 2022. We're going to go in Project, Manage Nugget Packages. We're going to browse for Xceed Workbooks. And this is the product that we will want to install. If you required Words for .NET functionalities, or if you require PDF conversion for some of your documents, then you will want to use the full version of the product. But in our case, we will focus on Xceed Workbooks for .NET, so you can just go ahead and install that. Once it's installed, there's a few things we're going to need to do first. Of course, is using this, adding this using statement right here. The next thing you want to do is that once you install the package through Nugget, we will have added a folder on your system called trial keys that you'll find in your C drive by default. That includes a text file, which will include your license key string. So you open that file up. You're going to see on the top, there's going to be this weird string that is your license key that is valid for 15 days. If you do need more time, however, please let us know. Write to us at support@xceed.com and you just say, need more time, didn't have time to start evaluating the product just yet, and we'll accommodate you the best we can. That's never an issue for trial keys. So we take this key, we go back in our little application. So what I did is a simple console application. So I just want to really focus on the fundamentals of getting started with this product. So the license key property is quite simple. It's xceed.workbooks.net.licenser.license key equals the string you took from the text file. From there, you have the product unlocked and ready to go. There's a ton of functionalities available with the product, but let's get over some of the very, very basic things like creating a file and then modifying its cells. I'm also going to explain to you where to go to get more tutorials and more documentation. So to create a file, it's actually quite simple. It's just a question of using the create method on the workbook class. So I just copy paste this here to save time. So in this case, as you can see, I create a variable that contains my document. So once you run this line of code, already you're going to have your own XLSX file ready to use. Of course, an empty file does not do much. So most of you will be adding values to cells, and that's what quickly I want to showcase how to do this very simply. There's multiple ways to access the address of a cell. The first one being you take your document, worksheet, which is the sheet that contains all the cells in a row. So in this case, let's work with our first sheet. It's 0 based. And then we go ahead and work on columns. First column, cells, first cell. Dot value equals hello world, for example. You can also access a cell through its rows rather than its columns. Very similarly, you're going to do document.worksheet. We're still going to work with the first one. We're going to go and work in column 1 so we can rows 1 dot cells 0 dot value equals hello world 2. So this way, the result is all the same, but depending on how you prefer to work, you have these options. And the final way to do it is just by specifying the address of the cell directly. So if you do .cells, let's say, so we have, let's say C1, C1 dot value equals hello world 3, whatever. All right. So what we have now is 3 different methods of accessing cells on your document. Of course, running this without saving will just do absolutely nothing. So we just want to do a document.save. There you go. So if we run this just as a test, now the code executed properly, no error message was thrown. So let's try and look for my document. I'm going to put it up right here. If you're using the trial version of the product, we'll add a sheet in your document to remind you that this is not a production version that you're working on. Once you use a official purchase license key, of course, we do not add this tab or anything to your files. So if we look at oh, see, I had a little mistake, but you get the idea that at this point, I was able to modify the value of 3 cells through very few lines of code, and you're ready to go. So this is just very, very fundamental. Of course, the product does way more complex thing like manipulate tables, import data from the multiple sources. The product, like I mentioned, is already super feature rich. Going on a website and looking at our documentation is a good way to see what's going on with the product. So if we do just that, if you type in doc.xceed.com, you're going to see that our documentation is right here underneath .NET Examiner and Libraries, Xceed Workbooks for .NET. And right there, you're going to have all of our information and on all the features and how to use the product. It's possible that you will need that you may prefer to have tutorials to work with a product instead of diving in the documentation. I understand it can be tedious this way. So what we also built a bunch of tutorials to help you learn how to use the product. So if we go back on Xceed.com, we go up there to News and Chronicles. We click on the tutorial button. You're going to see a whole bunch of different examples that are really well explained on how to use the product. So Diane, our developer, one of our developers, created those articles, and she goes over not just the basic of programming, but also how it works, where the names of our classes and whatnot came from, and how to really get started properly using our product. There's so much more to talk about, but I think that for now, I'm going to stop and let you play with all of this and see if you're able to achieve what you need. If you have any difficulties or there's some features you'd like to see that are not included in the product, the first thing to do is write to us at support@xceed.com. Because it's quite possible that the feature that you're looking for is currently being developed, as we have multiple programmers working on the product right now, and it's growing really, really fast. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to see what you guys do with the product. If you have any questions about more generic Xceed directions, you can write to me directly at matt@xceed.com, and so we can engage in a conversation. So thank you so much for joining me today, and happy coding.